Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, in a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. We are indeed in the middle of a heat wave, but that's not important, because just to get the preamble out of the way, I will have definitely titled this something akin to "I've broken my arm" or something along those lines, and that is indeed the case. Obviously, you can see from here that the damage has not been possibly as substantial as the title might need to think, but if you'll indulge me for a bit, I need to actually get to that part of the story in order, because obviously there's a lot more to actually cover in this particular video than just this, and it all is sort of a chain reaction. So yeah, this is oh my goodness, I need to scratch my head now. That's not good. Okay, whatever. So, yeah, can't really start off on a cheerful topic, I'm afraid, because the first thing that happened this week particularly was, of course, my nan's funeral. So, yeah, and that was an interesting gathering. I mean, they always are, because you never know necessarily. Well, I mean, you sort of know who is going to be there on the day, but you never know how it's going to proceed. And some people obviously surprise you. I mean, I said even in the speech that I did that people would cover vast, even transatlantic distances sometimes, and that is indeed for the sake of my nan. And that is indeed the case. There are some people who have even arrived from Germany, but of course also my aunt on my dad's side of the family, who came down from Liverpool. So that was a surprise. I didn't know that she was going to be there until basically like after I filmed the last Walking Wednesday, because she arrived late the following night. And yeah, wow, that was touching to actually see her there, because it was my mum's mum that passed away. So yeah, I kind of thought it was just going to be that side, but yeah, that was quite something. And then there were some other people who, one of them who I mentioned particularly couldn't walk so well, but still made the journey. Like I said before, we have family in Germany, so one of them was there. I have sweat trickling down my forehead and I can't wipe it off with the other hand. Right, who else was there? My mum's friend, who was also my mum's aunt and my nan's communal hairdresser, also showed up. I can say I'm probably less surprised by that, but still quite moved again. And I'm sure I'm missing out a lot of people. All of her children and grandchildren were there, and her great-grandchild. I mean, it was almost a packed house, I would say. Not the house was like super massive all of the time. I'll just have to. There you go. I saw my driving instructor there. That was a coincidence. What was I going to say? He's going to ask me about that next time I have a session with him, because I didn't explain the arm. Right. I'm going down a path with shade. Yeah, so it wasn't like a massive area that we were in, because yeah, to respect my nan's wishes, we actually the celebration was kept very simple. I mean, I don't have a huge amount of experience with how the celebrations tend to go at times, because I've only ever been to 2, now 3 funerals in total. I think most of the other ones, maybe my granddad on my dad's side, his might have been a bit more fast, because he was also a war veteran, so they pulled out the bagpipes. There was a lot of people who either served with him or were descended from him, etc., etc., who were there. And I could say that the reception area was much larger, but that I might be exaggerating that because I was 12 at the time, so everything looked larger to me at the time. I don't really know. Either way, that's we didn't at this time actually. We didn't know. Some people who were there didn't know you could do this, but we didn't have a we didn't hire a celebrant, like a master of ceremonies to, do the whole "we are gathered here today to remember name of person here." I mean, I guess I can say a full name now, but I don't know. I don't know. Still, for the sake of everyone else, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, we're here gathered today to celebrate blah blah blah. Yeah, it wasn't actually like that. Well, I mean, it was, but just my mum did that. Yeah, so there was the people who did want to speak. That part wasn't going to be majorly simplified, which I'm grateful for because I was among those people who wanted to say something and did. So yeah, we I think I mentioned this. We planned with my two uncles on that side of the family, and also my aunt who read a poem, what order we were going to go in and such, and we all kind of stayed on one side of the room in front of one particular lectern, just to to support each other, because again, it was difficult for us not to actually break down in the moment while we were there, because obviously we were the ones again organising everything. Well, I mean, not organising everything, it had been arranged prior, but what I mean is organising how the proceeding was going to go. We alone kept with the order. My mum took charge of that, really. She got sent all of our speeches. She went through them to make sure there was no repetition. I kind of helped a little bit with that, but not really. And then also we discussed the order together, and then she kind of came up with the final draft of that, which then was obviously printed and passed to people. I do remember that I intentionally shrank the font down of my speech so that it could fit on 2 pages, so it could be printed double-sided. But for some reason, even though I was given a pink folder to contain them in, that wasn't, I guess, registered. So I ended up dropping that on 2 pieces of paper, spilt out during one of my uncle's bits. And that was fortunately that was the worst thing that I did on the day, because when I was at the granddad's funeral I mentioned before, I also tried to give a speech and I completely blew it. I mean, a lot of people, they gave me credit saying oh yeah, he'd have been so moved and all that stuff. Basically, I said 2 sentences, forgot everything else I was going to say because I hadn't actually written it down or prepared anything outside of my own head, and was still so overcome with emotion at that point that I just completely froze and then just went back down, and have regretted it ever since. I mean, so I don't know. Someone my mum said recently, when we're talking about when I said first time I wanted to actually speak at my nan's funeral was how she would love to have heard from me, and how and mentioned the fact that I'd done that once before, and then someone was, oh, how did that go? And then I was what I said terribly, and then she once again reassured me that it wasn't. But yeah, for the life of me, I can't remember it any other way, other than the moment when I just came up, told everyone to basically just be positive, and then that was it. there was nothing else that I could actually like make out or do anything. I didn't say a single memory concerning him. And yeah, so not good at all. And yeah, this time I actually did go, you know, again, I'm far better just at writing in general now than I was back then, thank goodness. And yeah, I actually did manage to make something that I was proud of, that reluctantly fit onto 2 different pages, and actually was able to deliver that. I also collected some ideas from the other grandchildren because none of the other ones wanted to speak. So I asked, okay, so anyone who wants me to say anything, please put them here. I asked, you know, the great granddaughter as well, just to make sure, because like when you're that particular age, unless you're me, like I said before, you sometimes might think, oh well, this is not for me, or the adults can speak and do whatever they want. Yeah, and I conveniently never actually told her about my there. Not that she had to, but just to make sure that if she wanted to be heard about something, then I could do that. But no, ended up not being the case, which is fine again. Yeah, her dad did send me a few things, and I tried to. Fortunately, weirdly enough, they fit into a lot of the same areas, the same kind of memories that I had, which just shows that you know, I got the magnified, even older version, because there's like a generation gap of like 20 years or so between that particular cousin and me. So it was quite something to see, like, oh, you know, how many things actually sort of, you know, match and reflect each other, which I guess was also a good through line. I didn't try to learn it or anything. And we timed it before. I did one rehearsal, even though, again, I was worried about blowing it again. But the reason I did one rehearsal is because I didn't want it to feel like it was too practiced. And fortunately it didn't. Everyone seemed to really enjoy that one and say, you know, how I did a good job and blah blah blah. Not that the others didn't. They did. One of my uncles was at a disadvantage for his, because his one was just based on how her early life was, which, you know, basically none of us in the room were born for. So not like he could actually reflect it in some sort of a personal way. And the other one, who was famous for giving elongated and long speeches, actually kept his pretty brief. So the person who was waffling on for ages was me. So I'm glad that worked out. And but definitely, you know, the poem reading also went spectacularly. My aunt managed to really, like, you know, keep the meter, and as they do. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can hold with my other hand. The hand is fine. It's the arm that was the issue, which I will get to in a second. I just wanted to, like, give everyone the credit they deserve, especially my mum, who again arranged, like, was doing had some like tie-in speeches, and I had to announce everything, and, you know, give the signal for everyone to sit down, and, you know, kind of and also to say the final goodbyes, and that's not easy. That's, I would say, the hardest part of everything, and she did spectacularly. Yeah. And then afterwards we went to a house and had that's, you know, the aunt's house, who, you know, we still have the house for now. It's gone to my aunt, and we continued the celebration there. You know, Grand Central Station once more, the area where we all tend to congregate and everything. And yeah, we kept on sharing stories. I was on small cousin entertainment duty, and yeah, then we said, oh, we'll see you all tomorrow, because we have a family dinner that we're going to go to. And so now we finally come to the arm story. So at that dinner the following day, whenever we weren't actually eating, I was sat next to, I was sat next to my cousin the whole time, the small cousin, and whenever we were actually done, she would, say, do you want to go and, play outside in the park? And, being me, of course, I would say, yeah, of course. So that happened, and yeah, that was for most of the time. It was actually fine. It was up until the very end. I'm not like I'm very much used to, after over a decade of this, tiring myself out, getting a good workout in, just essentially entertaining that particular cousin, and then but then it came time to say goodbye, and we were doing one last piggyback ride, and we realized, oh, let's up the ante a bit. Let's actually see those like gaps that you get within parking spaces sometimes, like where they have a few plants, like an avenue or something like that. Yeah. Let's see if you can jump over those. So I see one, I jump over it, and it's fine. With her still on my back. I then turn around, do the same thing again, and that was it. I'm very tired at this point, so I go, okay, right, see that one there, which is the one in front that was next to their car. Okay, I'm going to take you there, jump over, and then we'll drop you off. So I did. By this point, it was actually really dark, so I didn't see that the landing area was actually covered in mud, not glorious mud. And so my right foot slipped, my left foot didn't find a footing, I landed on my left toe, also my left knee, almost did the splits in fact, and then because I still had her on the back of me, the weight from her then ended up, pushing down on my back, so I leant forward and landed on my arm. It was essentially my elbow. I was fine. She was okay, by the way. Nothing happened to her. She was, she landed on something soft, me. So yeah, she's okay. Nothing happened with her. But I, on the other hand, then had to try and get up, and my ears were ringing, and basically like the entire left side of me hurt to different degrees, but especially my arm. And so the next day, with my knee still bruised and my toe still sore, but my arm could barely straighten it out. So I went to the walk-in clinic, almost weren't seen. My mum insisted because it happened the night before. So she was like, okay, can we please just try and see it now, even though it's almost closing time? And so one of the nurses who happened to have observed and saw the way that I was holding my arm said, okay, I'll see you. And then did a few tests. She tried seeing how far I could stretch it, whatever, and she said, we'll send you for an x-ray, but it looks like you've broken your radial head. And I went for the x-ray. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. She showed me the contusion and everything, and why it hurt to twist, because the radial head actually seems to go there. So it wasn't a muscle that was sprained like I thought was the issue. No, just straight up broken bones. So sorry if I was a little clickbaity. Technically speaking, I did in fact break my arm, but it's in a way that will heal itself if I just keep it relaxed. And in this thing, and a bug just flew into my nose and I can't get it out. Great, fantastic. Yeah. Okay. That was essentially it. I'm running out of time and I can't delete anything, so that's really what I'm gonna have to say. Everything else, not really too much else that was important. It was those 3 days, and I've been recovering ever since. So there you go. Please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Subscribe to us already. And on that note, until next time, farewell. Doesn't hurt too much anymore, by the way, I forgot to say.